How's it going, everybody? Matt Bisaccio here for WMCT-TV and WMCT Sports, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Marlborough Shamrock Football Podcast. Last week, we were joined by offensive lineman Mike Hurst and defensive back Deshaun Perkins. This week, we're excited to be joined by QB1 Blake Rice and wide receiver Mitch Szilagyi. Guys, how's it going?
Good, man.
Very well.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you guys coming in, really do.
Yeah.
Now, you guys just got off a game where you take care of business against Boston. You beat them 26-6. Next week, you guys are playing against Mill City at home, which you can see live right here on WMCT-TV. So we'll have some details at the end of the show. But first things first, we bring you guys in here so we can introduce you to the community. So Blake, let's start with you. Just talk to me a little bit about yourself, your playing career, and how you became a Shamrock.
All right. Well, I'm originally from Connecticut. Grew up ever since I was born in New Haven, Connecticut. Parents were both born and raised there as well. And pretty much my dad's always been around football his whole life. So I started, and we don't have like Mighty Mites or whatever you guys call it out here. So we have flag for, I think it's like when you're ages 7 and 8. And then you start tackle when you're age 9. I think it's grade 4. I actually started as a center in flag, which was interesting. Ran a couple fumble rooskies. Then I was like a running back my first year of tackle, and our QB wasn't very good, so I was like, screw it, let me switch it up and see what happens. And then played youth, went to like a prep Catholic high school, Notre Dame, West Haven, for high school, and then went to WPI in Worcester, and that's where I met Mitch, actually, freshman year, and played 4 years there. Didn't start all 4, like our boy Zach Grassis, but got my time, in the later few years that I was there, and was actually trying to play like Canadian or with these new leagues coming out. I was just constantly just training and weightlifting and just making sure I was ready for anything that came around. And I did a couple CFL tryouts, actually the first year that I would join the Shams. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. But Zach got me to go out to practice because he was like, yeah, they need a QB. So I was like, I'll see what the vibe is, see how it goes. And pretty much the rest is history after that first practice. I couldn't stay away after that. So
Now, your progression of the last couple of years is noticeable. You've gotten a lot better. I mean, my untrained eye, just looking at you, being able to play a lot of shotgun the first year or two. Now you're under center a lot of the time.
Yep.
Now you're talking about doing CFL tryouts and different things like that. So have you kind of put the kibosh on those type of ideas, or is something like that still a possibility for you down the road?
I guess I'll always be ready for something like that. My dad, like I was saying, has always been involved with football. He worked for the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame, for a couple of years, doing some recruiting for like youth all-star games in high school, like senior all-star game. So he has some connections. He's told me he can get me into a tryout for like one of the new XFL or the new XFL league run by The Rock. It was kind of super short notice for this year, and I don't want to jump the gun and kind of give like not that I wouldn't think I would do well, but I'd rather be able to have time to train and make sure I'm exactly where I want to be before something like that. But you never know. I mean, I love playing football, so if I can get paid to do it full time, that'd be nice.
Absolutely. But one more just quick question about you specifically. What was it about playing the quarterback position, at an early age where it stuck with you and it was something that you realized, man, this is something that I really want to do for the rest of my life? Most of my playing career.
Yeah. Most of my life. It's been like 20-something years playing now. But I don't know. I just always felt like when I was younger, actually, when I was super bad at like public speaking and trying to be vocal, and that playing quarterback, it's kind of one and the same, with the job. Like, you got to be a leader. You have, even I was never a captain in high school or anything like that, but you're as a quarterback, you're just a leader of the team. You're a leader of the offense. Like it's your show. So I like the aspect of being in a position to help, the rest of your teammates or just others in general, try and boost them, above where they think they are. I always try and hype up everyone on the team, and I always say I'm just throwing the ball, man. Like they're the ones making all the plays and in the catches and the getting hit. I mean, I get hit, decent amount, but they're the ones getting the beating and putting on the show.
Yeah.
So
well, speaking to your confidence and your this past game specifically, you make a couple of plays. I mean, you're just in the other team's face. You're talking trash, and then the referee kind of takes you aside and he's like, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing he says like, hey, why don't you just take it easy? You don't want to pick up a flag or anything like that. But just watching you play over the last few years, not only has your play improved, but your confidence has improved, and you can really just tell by your body language on the field. So I mean, good for you.
Appreciate that.
Mitch, let's get you involved here. Talk to me a little bit about your playing history and how you became a Shamrock.
Yeah, definitely. Surprisingly, I actually didn't start football till freshman year of high school. That was like the first time I ever put cleats or a helmet on or anything like that. So I was kind of late at the party. I played at Doherty High actually for 4 years, and we had a pretty good run. We won a state championship my senior year. And then I went to WPI with Blake, as he mentioned before, played there for 4 years. And after WPI, I kind of made the decision that I was kind of done with football. I kind of want to move on to like basketball and try other sports, maybe golf. We'll see about that. I don't know. It might be too boring for me. I'm into like the intensity, but
you got the rest of your life of golf.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, and then didn't really have any intentions. And one day, Blake and Zach called me, and it was like out of nowhere. They're just like, "Hey, we joined this team." I'm like, "Okay, what team?" And saying the Shamrocks, and they have this great history, and the coach is behind them, and we're gonna be playing with a bunch of few cool people that we already knew. Plus, obviously, everyone in the Shamrocks is like family to me now. So, decided to just go to a practice, and I didn't even have pads or a helmet. Harry actually brought me pads and a helmet. It was actually Johnny Moore's extra pads, so I put those on, put on like a XXL practice jersey, and went out there, and it was fun. They pulled me back in. It was just like I knew it was gonna happen, but I didn't realize it would happen so quickly. Just get the urge to play again, and now I'm here. So
now coming to the Shamrocks, I mean, it's got to be just an incredible feeling. I've spoken to Coach Ingalls, Coach Harpin, the 4 other players that I've interviewed. Tell me a little bit, and we'll start with you, Mitch, just about the atmosphere at Kelleher in comparison to other places that you may have played, and just the vibe, really, for lack of a better term or way of saying it, that you get here as opposed to playing at other places on the road. Yeah,
and I've played at Kelleher before when I was at high school, and the vibe was the same. And I think there's just something about Central Mass, and we just love our football, and especially when it comes to real football, like high school, college, WPI, even our WPI games are crazy. And then in Marlborough, you go to all these semi-pro games that are away, and you get a decent amount of people, 50 to 100 people. But then you come to Kelleher, and it's like 1,000 or somewhere around there, and it's unbelievable just hearing that crowd. It's just a complete energy boost.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, it must be so much easier to get up for a game when you know that you got scores of people in the stands, and now knowing that your games are live on TV, available on Facebook and Twitter, and shameless plug, but it must just make getting ready for the game and playing the game that much more enjoyable, right, Blake?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Mitch was saying, you got maybe 50-ish fans at these away games, and then you come to Kelleher, and the whole concrete stands are filled, and there's like probably 100 plus for like an hour before the game. Sometimes, like, these people are dedicated. So, and they're yelling, they're screaming, they're cheering the whole time. So, I mean, anything that happens during the game, it just makes it that much more, impactful and meaningful. And really just keeps the ball rolling the whole game. Even if you make a mistake or someone else on the team makes a mistake, they're still right there behind you. So it makes, dealing with that game situation a little bit easier. And obviously our brothers on the team are going to go balls to the wall. So
Especially Mike Hurst.
yes, especially Hurst.
Every single game that I've ever been to that he has screamed at the fans and the players on the bench, multiple times. It's just, he just raises the energy level. Like, even for somebody like me that's like calling the game, like knowing that he's, I'm like, all right, I got to be on my game too.
Yep.
But that game, talking about being at home, you guys just came off a home game against the Bandits. Like we were talking about before, you guys dominated basically from beginning to end. You guys win 26-6. Blake, you and the offense played pretty well for the most part in the first half. You end up finishing with 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. That was that final drive of the first half. You're just trying to push the ball.
Yeah.
But talk to me about how you feel, or where you feel the offense is at right now, especially compared to how the season started. Not so well against Southern New England.
Yeah. Right now, we're still not where we want to be, obviously, but we can see the pieces kind of falling into place, and we can see that chemistry starting to spark, across the board. Obviously, we've had a decent amount of new players this year, so getting them all up to speed with the whole playbook, and then it's just getting reps. We only have that one practice, so that's why I try and get on the field on a separate day. With as many guys as I can. But we really see it coming together, and it's exciting. Me and Mitch have been playing together forever, so I know where he is without even – I could have my eyes closed. I know where he is on every play. But starting to gain that trust and that game experience with these new guys is great, and it's a fun thing to see everyone start to really be successful during the games.
Now, I remember in the middle of, I think it was the second quarter, you guys are up 7-0. You guys drive down. You fail to convert a third down play. You end up getting the field goal, 10-0. But as you're walking off the field, you're visibly upset. You're barking at Coach Ingalls. You're barking at different guys. You're pretty heated. You come over to the sideline. You guys are kind of jawing at each other. You guys all go over to the sideline, huddle, talk about it. That next drive, right before the end of the half, you drive 75 yards and you score a touchdown. Talk to me about the relationship and the rapport that you have with Coach Ingalls and how that's really helped to catapult the offense to where it is now.
We did get into it a little bit, like you were saying, on that drive we stalled out. But that's good. Maybe it's a little excessive with the volume that we had during that conversation. But I think it's all good things, even those little, times that we butt heads, because we have enough respect for each other where that won't affect us, our relationship on or off the field moving forward, especially during that game. I just wanted to say, give him my peace of mind of what I thought we should have been doing in that goal line, second, third, fourth down. But it's obviously it's not all on him either. I thought we were possibly going to go for it on fourth down, but at the end of the day,
so it wasn't execution or the play call on third down. It was more just the fact that you guys weren't being aggressive to go for it on fourth.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't think that was the best third down call, and I told him that. But there's also he could have slipped through and scored, and it would have been a perfect call. So you never know. But besides that one instance, overall, Harry and I were on the same page about a lot of things, and that helps us. He has a lot of trust in me to make all the right reads and stuff and go through the progressions and, those RPO plays, making the correct pull or give read. But it's even more than that. he gives me freedom for, if we have a 2-minute drill situation, I call all the plays. Like, he'll give me the first one. If we're in a no huddle, I'm just going. And I can audible something or switch the direction of the play, at the line as well. So he gives me a lot of leeway, a lot of freedom to be able to, alter certain plays or alter the offense in a certain way. And we've together over, the past 2.5 now, almost going on 3 years, have evolved what his offense, the old Mass Fury offense was and what it is now. We've, gotten it to this point together. So it's really cool. Like, I wanted to go under center for a while. That's what I used to do in high school. College, not so much, but I feel like it gives Zach a lot of, maybe not freedom, but it's not as easily given away what we're doing.
Right.
So and it's a lot more space that he has back there when he's
an extra
7 yards
second
deep,
or two just to
up.
kind of diagnose where the holes are going to open up. Right?
Yep, exactly. And I think our O-line loves it too. So, I mean, we can sell play action a lot better, bring in a tight end or a wing and kind of just pound the rock. But back to, Harry and I mean, we've done well so far, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, but just speaking of like the offense in general, but actually more specifically like the wide receiver group, the first couple of years you guys had like 1 or 2 guys, maybe like a third guy between you, Graham, and Johnny. Now you guys have like 4 solid. Now like with Drew Bolton, like a 5th guy that you just, it looks like you feel very comfortable throwing the ball to. Like, so Mitch, for you as like one of the top wide receivers on the team, how impactful is it for you when you know that the defense has to worry about 3 or 4 other guys in any given play?
And it's huge, man. And I think, Johnny would have appreciated this when he was getting like triple, quadruple teamed, obviously.
Right.
And he had Graham, but maybe not as many weapons as we have now. And it's it's a beautiful sight to see when, especially like the newer players and the newer young players are coming out here and balling the way people are, like Anthony and Storm. Mm-hmm. Even Drew, like you said, and Graham always does what he does. He's a baller. So just seeing that and just it makes it a lot easier on the offense as a whole to be able to set stuff up and kind of just, provide, a look forward, like a kind of foreshadow of like what we can do, and giving us the confidence of being like we can go against anyone. It doesn't matter what this defense is doing. They could double team this guy, we'll throw it to this guy. If they double team him, we'll throw it back to, so it's like it's kind of a relief, and it gives us the freedom to be able to do what we want to do and have fun playing the game, and that's like the most important part. And the way you do well is you have fun. So
yeah, like we were saying, like you guys lost Johnny Morris Jr., the #1 wide receiver, the last couple of years. Now you've been able to bring in these like 3-4 new guys, specifically Anthony Centrone and George Smith. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had pretty monster games, especially Centrone last game. Talk to me about like how they've been able to fit in so well so quickly, considering they're just brand new on the scene.
Definitely. I mean, both of them had over 100 yards for sure, and had the 2 touchdowns, of course, and Stormcutter probably
and
had
the
one.
backflip. Let's not forget about that backflip.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick.
He's a little jitterbug, that kid, man. I love that kid. But just coming in and as a team embracing the new guys. First off, making sure that they're comfortable around us, and comfortable to learn and ask us questions, and then it's their part too to come in and be eager to learn. Be eager to ask questions and put in work. And all the new guys, man, across the board, they've been great at that, and I'm over here in practice dying, barely can breathe, and I got Storm and Ant asking me questions. I got Drew asking me. I'm like, guys, give me a second, but it's a great thing. It's not a bad thing. So I think it goes both ways, the team and the new players, and both sides are putting in a lot of effort to make this a successful year.
Yeah, well, you guys were definitely successful last week with that 20-point victory, but that's in the rear view now. Mm-hmm. Now the focus is on Mill City, home game, which you can see live on WMCT. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
But, you guys just played them a couple of weeks ago, right? In a situation like that where you've played each other so close, does that give, one side of the ball an advantage over the other? Like, so basically, like, do you have the advantage over them this coming weekend as an offense, or do they have an advantage over you as the defense, having just seen you in your play calling?
So, I mean, in sports, like, one of my biggest rules of thumb is it's hard to beat the same team twice in a year. You know, everyone's going to make adjustments. Everyone's going to make changes, and no one wants to lose to the same team twice. So, if anything, I think they might have the advantage. They might have the edge, the chip on their shoulder to come in a lot harder than they did the first game, especially on our home turf, and knock us out. So we got to come in even harder than we did last week and, put on a show and, don't take our foot off the gas.
Right. I'm sure the defense is a little upset. They're only giving up like 9 points per game, and they give up 18 a couple of weeks ago to them. So I'm sure they're going to have a chip on their shoulder coming into this week too. But Blake, the offense in that Mill City game didn't get off to a great start. The first 3-4 drives of the game kind of stalled out. Then you guys kind of picked it up late in the first half, and then obviously in the second half too. So coming into practice this week, what's a point of emphasis for you guys to make sure that you have a quicker start and you don't fall into the same pattern?
A point of emphasis at practice, it would probably just be to really just focus on executing that play during that play, and really just whatever that play may be, whatever play in the game that we're focusing on. They have holes in their defense, as any defense does. So obviously we want to attack those parts of the defense, but you still need all 11 guys executing. If it's a run play, we got to make sure not only our line is blocking first, second level, but our wide receivers as well, which they've done pretty well so far this year. So, it would just be to execute. We've been kind of shuffling our O-line a bit this year with guys having to miss certain games here and there. So I don't even know if we've started with the same O-line in any of those first few games to date. Obviously, a lot of the key guys are still there, or they're moving from left guard to right guard, or whatever we need them to do, which is much appreciated. But we just want to make sure everyone's on the same page for whatever play we're running at the time. So just going to practice, ready to work, and know your job and do your job. That's it.
Now I know that professionally, a game plan, you'll script the first 15, 20 plays or something like that. Mm-hmm. Does that happen at the semi-pro level? Are you scripting out what you're going to do on the first drive or the first couple of drives of the game?
So historically we never did that, but this year we've actually tried to implement that. Not with 20, but with 10. So we know what our first 10 are. And unless some extraneous kind of circumstance comes up in the game, we'll stick to those 10. So last week against the Bandits, Ant had that big catch and run on the first drive where we were within the 5. So we had a play that we put in a couple, we just added to that, first 10. We inserted a few before we got back to the list just to finish that drive out, and then picked it right back up from there.
Cool. Well, hopefully all that strategizing pays dividends in this game this Saturday against Mill City.
Absolutely.
They're 2-2. You guys are looking to go to, I believe, 4-1, right?
Yes, sir.
And then after that, you got the big game up in New Hampshire against Granite City.
Yes,
I'll be looking forward to that one too. But once again, thank you so much for coming in. I know it's not a practice day for you guys. You guys had to drive from Worcester to get here. So thank you so much, and good luck in this game against Mill City on Saturday night. So that's Saturday night, July 23rd, 7 p.m. You can watch that game live right here on WMCT-TV. For our residents here in Marlborough, for cable subscribers, that's Comcast Channel 8, Verizon Channel 34. And for people that wanted to watch it online, the link will be available on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube as well. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll see you next time. Take care.